Father John. So I think what's interesting when I stand up here today, and I see everybody, and I realize and recognize we all have our own story. We all have our own experiences. And for me, when I was a freshman, going into my sophomore year, my father had passed away, and my mother said to me, "Gee, I don't know if you're going to be able to go to Jesuit. Got a lot of kids to take care of." Was one of 6. And so she said, you know, maybe a public school would be a good place for you to go. So that next day I was in the locker room and I was just talking to one of my friends, and I was kind of bummed, and he says, "Why are you so down?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to come back to Jesuit." And about a week later, I was called in to see Father Harris. At that time, Father Harris was president and principal. Now, back then, Father Harris was working very hard, and we didn't see Father Harris on campus very much, and if you did see him, it's usually not a good thing, it was a bad thing. The other thing is he was kind of known as the Wizard of Oz because we never saw him, but we could just hear him on the speaker talking and telling us that he was going to find out who we were for doing what we did. It was kind of a curtain, and there was fire, and there was a speaker, and then he'd pull out these keys, and he'd bring these keys like this, and he'd remind everybody he's got the keys. So I went to see Father Harris, and Father Harris sat me down, and he said, "Jeff, we don't want you to worry. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to send you to Jesuit High School, and you're going to finish, and we're going to pay for your tuition." And it just changed my life at that time, in that moment. And it wasn't just what Father Harris did. It was what I call, you know, and I'm very impressed with this new saying of men for others. I think it's wonderful. But for me, in my experience, it was family for others. Because it isn't just the Jesuits. It's the way that your classmates touch you and become part of your life to make sure that you are a brother. And there were summers that would go by and I would get invited to go on vacations with my fellow classmates because their parents would say, "Hey, ask Jeff if he wants to come up to Lake Tahoe, spend a little time with us as a family," because we know that maybe he's not going to be able to do that. There were times when families, the Fat family would take me snow skiing. They were wonderful to me. The Fat family gave me a job through high school, gave me a job through college, washing dishes, always caring about me and checking on me. And then you think about the teachers. The teachers would go out and they would check on me and say, "Jeff, how are you? How are you doing? What's going on in your life?" And they would spend their lunch times tutoring me to make sure that I was getting the grades that I needed to get through. And the teachers were a family together, and I know they would talk about those things. And then you look back and you think about the Jesuits and how they're a family and how they helped. Father Carroll reached out to me during my sophomore year of English, and he was very influential in my spiritual life. Father Carroll would offer Mass every day at 7 a.m. before school, and he changed my life spiritually and truly brought me closer to God. And that was one of the big reasons why I felt it was so important to have the chapel here at Jesuit, so that young men could have a place to go. And if I could just change one young man through the experience of that chapel, what a great gift that would be for all of us. So I call it family for others, because really the parents, the teachers, the clergy, everybody is a family together trying to help young men. And it wasn't just the high school. Afterwards, Father Harris would follow up with me. I spent a year at Sacramento State University. I was struggling. I didn't care for it. but my mom wanted me to stay home and be in Sacramento with her. And Father Harris arranged for me to have a full ride scholarship at Loyola Marymount. And in addition to that, it was room and board. And he stepped up again and took care of me. So what I'd like to say is, thank you, Father Harris, for changing my life. Thank you for changing the lives of my family and really being my father. Thank you. And one of the things that's great about Jesuit is getting to know new people. And I throw a dinner at the auction in Napa Valley every year, and I donate it. And I had an opportunity to meet somebody at that dinner by the name of Patrick McLean, who some of you know and some of you don't know. He didn't go to Jesuit High School, but he's been very much involved, and through that relationship, I learned a couple of great things. One is he's a very generous man, and he's been wonderful to Jesuit High School. But secondly, he's the second cheapest Irishman in Sacramento. So, Patrick, I want you to come up here, and I want you to tell us, and I didn't tell him I was going to do this, by the way, so this is totally, ad lib. I want you to come up here, please, in front of everybody, and tell them your personal story that you told me, and then tell them the power and the influence of what you've done at Jesuit.
All right, so we're in Napa, so as you can imagine, we're drinking Jeff's really good wine. Because at my house, you'll drink the Recession Reds. And we had this conversation about Jesuit. Now, I grew up in Carmichael. My sister went to Mercy High School.
Now, you grew up in Mariloma.
Oh, I went to Del Campo.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
But we didn't, anyway, so I didn't have an opportunity to go to Jesuit. So anyway, fortunate enough to, my three boys have gone to Jesuit. And we were at an auction about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And Maureen, she's working the room, right? Trying to get everyone to write a big check. She's very good at it. Stay away from her. Actually, I see her all the time in public. She never sees me. So there was a gift for the endowment, and so my wife and I gave some money, and this young gentleman came over, and he kneeled down next to me, and he started crying, and he said, "Mr. McLean, my life has changed because of you." Now, I never met this kid. I have no idea who he is. I couldn't tell you who it was today. But he came up to me and he said, "I would not be here but for you." Now, me individually, he meant us, right? That's what he meant. Us, not me, but us. I would not be here but for you. And this school has changed my life. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I never had a lot of opportunities. Jesuit did it for me, right? And then I talked to my sons about the kids that they go to school with. Some kids that have to take buses here, right? So what we do, what Jeff has done, is amazing, right? It's opportunity that they will never have but for us. So thank you, Jeff.
With Father Harris last night, and I said, one of the wonderful things that we can do as patrons of Jesuit High School is we can provide the Jesuits with tools. And I think tools sometimes are important when it comes to fundraising and helping them set goals and giving them experiences so that they can share that, quite frankly, with other alumni. Because I really think that this is a very important fundraising campaign that the alumni of Jesuit High School need to step up and start pitching back and giving back. And it doesn't need to be in a big way, it could be in a little way, but just doing it, helping out, because this is the thing that is going to change young people's lives forever. And I want to thank Pat for helping out. Pat was very kind. Both Pat and Kathy were kind enough to donate $100,000 to the new program. That took a lot of expensive wine to do that, just so you know. And I would also like to announce that I'm going to donate $250,000 to the fund as well to help kickstart it. So here's $350,000 for Father Harris and Father John. And I hope that you guys will choose it wisely, and thank you again for changing my life and all the other young men in this world.